I thought I'd do a real quick video, just explaining my language of life map. It's actually a framework of the human psyche, how it works, how the energy works through it. And I guess before I would ever talk about this, I would need to first say, how did I get here? Well, my whole life, all the work I ever did physically, install windows, it just wasn't congruent with me. And I knew it. I knew it from a very young age that the work I did was not congruent. I was not a person. It's not that I can't work with my hands. It's just not fulfilling. I'm a brain guy, okay? I think my way out of stuff. I had a lot of relationships that weren't that good. Not really. Often things outside of my own control, like outside forces, just messed with me. And just eventually I got to this point when my dad died in 2020. It wasn't that single thing, but it was just a buildup of things. And I lost some help. I was, at the time, had a contract with a window company, had a couple guys working for me, and I cut my hand. There's a couple fingers are all crooked. And that thumb, I cut my hand to where about 8 months for that to heal, and had 2 foot surgeries, cut a couple toes off. And so I let my contract go, and I just said I can't do it. And I had been collecting pocket knives. I'll give you an example right here. Beautiful old 1920s Winchester. And I had seen the guys were doing auctions, so I started doing auctions online. And for 4 years, I did auctions online and survived, made enough money off of that to survive. In January of 2024, I'd come across cognitive functions, the Myers-Briggs personality indicator. And I took the test in January of 2024. Now, let me explain to you first what a cognitive function stack is. There's only, in the 1920s, Carl Jung from Germany, a scientist, came up with a conclusion, very logical conclusion. There's 2 ways we can make decisions, thinking or feeling. Those are deciders. 2 ways we can observe the world, sensing and intuition. Sensing is what we can see, smell, taste, see, touch, feel. Intuition is pattern recognition and possibility. So there's 2 observers and 2 deciders. That's all humans have. Then he realized they were introverted and extroverted. So that makes 8. Every human being had four cognitive functions that they use primarily, and then a 4 shadow stack. The shadow stack really isn't that relevant until you really get deep into it. They said this is the car model. Your first function is the driver, and it's either an observer or a decider, okay? If your first function is an observer, you're considered to be an observer. That means your second observer is the last function. If you're a decider, your first function is a decider. Your last function is also a decider, okay? That means then the 2 middle ones are observers. So that's kind of a pattern we can go by. And so, for example, I am intuition, extroverted intuition, which casts a wide net, takes a lot of possibilities, draws them in. Then my second function is extroverted thinking, which is outward thinking structure. It structures things outwardly and makes order out of them, makes them useful. My third function is introverted feeling, which the short name of it would be authenticity, is what they call it. It's identity. It's about how I personally value. I value my morals and ethics and values come from inside of me, not outside of me. I'm about aligning with myself, with my inside. And then my fourth function is introverted sensing, which is memory. It's details, learning from the past, that type of thing. Well, when I realized that, when when I did my MBTI test, and it said I was an ENFP, and then a couple weeks later I talked to my nephew, and he's like, "Oh man, I've been studying this for years." He knew all about it. He said, "But you got to go to Objective Personality." They came out with Dave Powers. He's met him a couple times, Dave and Shannon, and they went further with Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs, people say that Myers-Briggs isn't scientifically proven. The problem with that is the structure they used to prove it. The model they used was totally off the walls. So don't ever believe when someone tells you Myers-Briggs hasn't been scientifically proven. But that being said, Myers-Briggs is limited. Oh, because I'm a double extrovert. I'm masculine extrovert intuition, feminine extroverted thinking, masculine introverted feeling, feminine introverted sensing. Or play, blast, sleep, consume. Very quickly, I want to explain a little bit about interaction style. With the cognitive function stack, without interaction style wouldn't be that beneficial, but the interaction style decides whether you are introvert or an extrovert. The 4 interactions are play, that is brainstorm and possibility. 2 is blast, that is structure and teaching. 3 is consume, and that is intaking information and organizing it. And 4 is sleep, and that's interprocessing and alignment with oneself. So Objective Personality, Dave Powers, he added these extra components or tenets to the cognitive function stack that wasn't there originally from Carl Jung or Myers-Briggs. So he also just realized that we can be, Myers-Briggs said you had to be introvert, extrovert, introvert, extrovert. 2 introvert, 2 extroverts. Dave, it's still true for the most part, but Dave realized you can be double introvert, double extrovert. So it gives you more types. It's more, and then the interaction style, it actually gives you 512 types, but it's not that complicated. That's not how you do it. You have 16 types, and then you have jumpers, and then interaction style. When I realized my cognitive function stack and how I worked, it just started giving me confidence of who I was, because now I didn't have to depend. Before I thought everyone was the same. Now I saw, oh, this is who I am. I'm an innovator. I'm a visionary. I see the big picture. I live in theory first, then in reality. And someone with introverted intuition, I have extroverted intuition. Someone with introverted intuition is a lot the same way. Also visionary, also lives in possibility, also lives in theory first. But the difference is they usually focus on one detail and dig down deep like a badger and get the meaning out of that. We both live by meaning, but I cast a wide net and cover a lot of area. They would be more focused, and sensors are more in the moment, what they can see, they're not abstract at all. Thinkers are more about, introverted thinkers are about accuracy, structuring accuracy. Extroverted thinkers are more about usable, extroverted systems that work. And feelers, introverted feelers are about authenticity, extroverted feelers harmony. So then I built this map. This map came to me over time. And this is how the map's laid out. You have a perimeter here, which is your relationships. The creator at the top. This is your life source embodiment line. So here's connection, embodiment of joy, laughter, that kind of thing. These are the grounding things that heal a nervous system. And then your other relationships, family, school, community, work, are out here on this border. As you see, your identity is in the middle. And then your spider web, these all touch, they touch relationships and identity. What happens is usually our wounds start from core wounds when we're young. And they come from out here in relationship, and they come in here and they weaken identity. And as identity weakens, it pumps bad blood back out your lines into your relationships. And then your nervous system gets the threshold of your nervous system is dictated by your core wound. If your core wound is betrayal, like mine is, the nervous system threshold is set, and your nervous system's a wild wolf. You don't have control over it, or not total, not the snap, maybe the afterwards. But the way I describe it is a wild wolf crouching in a cage with a hand reaching for his head is dysregulated. A wild wolf with his pack and a full stomach is regulated. And then your nervous system dictates the attachment style you have. That's how you interact with others. Are you avoidant? People who grew up with their parents not liking any kind of emotions, they become avoidant. They learn that they don't get anything from emotions, and they start pulling back. So when things get close, they pull back. And it's usually not the sense that they don't want closeness. It's usually an aversion to it. It's like the person's not right. Something's not right, you know. Anxious people, they have inconsistency in their relationships, and then they pull people in their orbit. As soon as they start feeling dysregulated, they call everybody, their mother, their brother, they pull everyone into their orbit trying to co-regulate with them. And then disorganized is often when it's more, they say abuse or mental health issues in your parents, but I've noticed that real conservative types often has children that are disorganized too. If you spank your children a lot before they're 3 years old, most of your attachments is set by the time you're 4 years old. But if you do that a lot, if you spank children at a young age, you're probably going to get disorganized children. And then secure, it only takes 35% consistency with parents co-regulating with their children to be secure. Okay, so that dictates that. And then your attachment style dictates how you give and receive love language, and basic human needs, Tony Robbins. And then this is your embodiment line. That's the grounding presence to heal your nervous system. Your cognitive function stack is up here. And if you want to heal yourself, you start with your cognitive function stack and learn who you are, how your mind works, how it's wired. That feeds identity. You ground yourself here, life source, that feeds identity. Core wounds also. If you can find somebody that counteracts your core wound, let's say it's betrayal, and you find someone loyal, it also heals in here. When it comes into core wound, it actually goes back out the nervous system, into relationships, back to the attachment. And it's like a loop. So now you have these healing. Your identity strengthens here, and it pumps good blood back out in your relationships. That's the idea. And identity comes from Jamie Winship. Jamie Winship is a guy I've been following. I've met him a couple times. I've talked to him on the phone, and he has a revolutionary idea of how finding your identity. Oh, and here's your ember within. That's the life source. So when your identity gets strong, it fuels the light, the ember alignment to the creator from the embodiment here, and you start pumping blood. That's the idea of it. Now, granted, this map is difficult. Only 5-10% of people can use it or will use it to fix themselves. I did, and there's others who will, but a lot of people won't have the patience or the interest. But what this map is good for is if you can map a human, you can map an entity. You can map a corporation, a company, a church, a school, a family, a military, or a country. Now, if we go and start mapping the people inside of a corporation, and we color code them by thinking, feeling, sensing, or intuition in each department, we can build a congruent idea of where they're light, where they're heavy. And we interview the people, and we can start aligning people. Alignment must work above coercion. So if a company goes and tries to punish people and incentivize them to better perform, or and fight their nervous system, the wild wolf within, or do you want to go and get them in alignment and work with their nervous system and build a culture of loyalty and honor? Loyalty and honor must be done for this. So that's the idea of the map. I'm not going to make this long. I believe it's revolutionary. I believe alignment is the future. I believe this next age, these next 5 generations are going to be about alignment. I believe it won't be long, and no company will be able to stay in business without being aligned. Humans will be aligned, and a lot of it can be done. Total alignment has to be inner work, but you can align people with their work through the corporation, through the entity, through the institution. You don't have to go and fix each individual person. But anyway, that's my language of life maps and a little bit of my story. Peace out.